What kind of man is this?
Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with jazz vocalist Vincent Ding. He started his jazz career during the pandemic and recorded his debut CD in 2020. The result is his new 2022 CD, Incredible Views from Above. He is a bright new flame in the world of vocal jazz that is steeped in the traditions of icons like Frank Sinatra and Nat King Cole, as he blends this rich lineage with a depth of autobiographical authenticity from his Taiwanese-American roots. He was born in a family where music was all over the place, and now he is living his dream. Enjoy the story.
Well, hey, man, thanks for taking a minute out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on Neon Jazz.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. So let's get into, before we get into Incredible Views from Above, your new album, I want to know, we've gone through quite a time, especially as artists and musicians, with COVID and the restrictions and not being able to perform. So how did you survive that 2-year period of things just being kind of turned upside down?
Sure. So it's very interesting. I really started my jazz career in 2020. So I was having thoughts of doing a big band album in 2019. I had no idea where to start, who to even reach out to. And then I started taking vocal lessons in the beginning of 2020 with my vocal teacher, Sarah Tip, who's also my producer. And I had told her about the idea of wanting to do a big band album, and she was super excited. She put me in touch with great people to work with, and then it was almost like the world shut down instantly right after. So I think in March, COVID happened, and it was just not a good time. And what ended up happening was we canceled recording in the studio, and what ended up happening was everybody recorded at home and sent their individual parts in. And yeah, so we made a virtual big band album, and that's pretty much how this album came to life. And I think I survived because, I had saved up enough over the last few years of working so that I can make this album happen. And so I don't think it really affected me in the way that affected others, where, they had been in the business already, and, they needed to go on tour in order to make a living. I was really just starting out my career, and I had saved up enough to make this happen.
I hear about people that had babies during this time, and I think about what a time to birth either a life or a new concept. And I would imagine, as much as people, and even people that moved and big moves, you would figure this wouldn't be the ideal time, but at the same time, everything was in such flux. Maybe this is the best time to do it.
Yeah, and I'm actually very, very glad that I chose that time, because I actually got some more, I actually think that I got some extra time just to make it a little bit better. I think COVID extended. I think COVID extended some sort of a way for me to focus more on my craft a little bit more, even though it was hard for others. As a new artist, I got to focus a little bit more on my technique, and having only started vocal classes in 2020, and recording in November of 2020, I think it's a really fast journey for me, going from having not so great a vocal technique and ability to making an album happen right away. Yeah.
So what do you hope the listener gets from this new album?
Sure. So I really hope that this album can inspire people to pursue their dreams and their passions. I think one of my main goals of making this album was, and even the title itself, Incredible Views from Above. I hope that when I'm much older, I can look down at this incredible journey and this path that I took to get to where I am. and I don't want to have any regrets of anything that I pursued in my earlier stages of life. So for me, it's like making this album is really a statement for myself that I pursued something that I really enjoyed. You know, I was working for a couple of years, and I came to this consensus that I would be working for the rest of my life, and if I didn't pursue something that I really wanted to do and I really enjoyed, I would be so regretful of it later on in life. So I told myself I have to make this album. I need to make it a really good album too. And so I hope that people take this album as a way to overcome these debilitating hurdles and unlock fulfilled, purposeful, and happiness-driven lifestyles that they deserve.
And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people found out during time of reflection over this pandemic is that, there's probably a lot of desires and dreams, bucket list items that people wanted to do with their lives, and, looking at how dire things were and just kind of reorganizing things. I think that's very, very important, and the fact that you did it, I think it says a whole lot. So let's go back to the beginnings of your life. How did this dream of being a musician and singing and being in jazz begin for you? Like, where were you born and raised in kind of your childhood?
Sure. So I was born and raised in the Bay Area in California. I grew up in more of an all Asian neighborhood, and so my upbringing was I was bullied a lot because I was actually a bigger kid. I was much fatter and chubbier than the others, and I think I was always picked last, whether it's for a group project or for sports, and that really affected the way my confidence was and brought my self-esteem down. And I would say it was a tough time when I was a kid because I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea why people were treating me that way. And then on the flip side, I also grew up in, I would say, somewhat of a musical family. My mom's a piano teacher. My sister is also a viola teacher now. And so I always grew up around music. And I think while I was getting bullied, I would always resort back to music. And one of the genres that I really appreciated was when I was in middle school and I joined the jazz band, and just playing big band music and finding out what jazz was in the first place was so fascinating to me because it was so free forming. You can express like your style in any way, and you can also like put your emotion into it. And so when I was getting bullied and I felt down, I would just resort back to playing jazz. I started out on the saxophone. I would say in about my high school years, I started listening more to vocal jazz artists like Michael Bublé, and then I got even deeper into it, listening to Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole, Dean Martin, Tony Bennett, all these amazing artists. And then I just like fell in love. I knew like this was my genre, even though like none of the other kids would listen to this type of music. This is the type of music that I wanted to listen to because this is that was the music that made me feel so much better about myself at the end of the day. And then so I would say in high school I didn't really take music seriously. I didn't join band or anything like that. So when I graduated from college, that's when I had the realization, hey, I really need to do something with music. I grew up with it, but I haven't touched it in such a long time. I think I have the potential to make something happen. I don't know how, but I told myself, hey, I'm going to save up a little bit and I'm going to try to pursue this by first finding a vocal teacher. And that's exactly what I did. I met Serendip, and then everything took off from there.
What I find unique is in the world of jazz, there's all these niches and there's all these things that people fall into. And there's just not a lot of male singers. And have you thought about that, the fact that you will be kind of entering a more or less elite club of performers in the jazz arena that could really kind of vault you to a higher echelon, so to speak?
I have thought about that a little bit. I really hope so, that I can elevate my game to become, a better jazz artist, and especially in this, I would say, less male-dominated, vocal jazz industry. Yeah, I have thought about it a lot, actually. And I think it's such a coincidence that it kind of lined up like that. I would hope that more people start to listen to jazz in this day and age. I feel like jazz is a little bit, from what I've noticed, it's harder to get into, but I feel like once people start appreciating what it is, they'll actually find much enjoyment listening to it.
So what is it that you like the best about being a professional musician? There's so many aspects of it, and ultimately you get to wake up every day and live this dream that you've had. What do you like the best about it?
I would say music is something that I can take my mind off of, like, from work. I worked pretty stressful jobs in the past, and I think whatever I was going through, I can reflect it in my music, and I can sing it. I can emotionally express it. That's what I really love about music, and the process of making music. It's just however you're feeling that day, right? Like if you felt really down one day, you can go to the piano and you could start writing a song, and you can start singing it in a way that reflects how you're feeling that day. That's what I really love about music, and I hope that I can continue on making some great tunes if I can, and I hope that, like, I think that this is just the start of my career, so I really hope that I can make more records. I think making records is such a fun thing, so I hope that there's probably at least 10 more down the line.
Now that we're returning, to the stage after this long absence away, what do you hope we all realize about the power of live music as we get back to it?
I think the power of live music is that, just being in person, it makes you feel so much more immersed in the space, and also, I think when you listen to live music, you can actually feel someone's emotions coming out and playing through, rather than just like listening to a live recording. So I hope that people start coming out more, especially. I've been thinking about this a lot. I'll be performing in 2 weeks. I've been trying to figure out ways of, like, incorporating more embellishments and just, like, engaging with the audience more. I think I want everybody to feel exactly how I'm feeling.
So everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fans, but ultimately you're the one in control of your life. You're living it. You have a perception. Who do you think you are?
That's a very tough question. I would say I'm just a normal person that's trying to pursue their dreams, and if I can be someone who can showcase that, and I don't think there's a lot of people in my friend or family group that's actually trying to do something like this. If I can show them that this can be done, which I think I have to some extent, it really, I would hope that it would inspire them to do this for themselves as well. I think I see a lot of people struggling. Some people have also told me that, when they're working a regular job, they're pursuing someone else's dream and not their own. And it's very sad to hear that. And so I hope that people would get the courage and the confidence to just step out and even if it was a side hustle at first, just start doing. doing something that you love and are passionate about.
Vincent, I saved the hardest one for last. Thank you for taking a minute out. Good luck with the album and the return to the live stage.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players and singers in the Bay Area, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Vincent for his time, music, and stories. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. And for all things Joe Domino, joedomino.com, and there you can kick in via Patreon or PayPal. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.